For someone who played World of Warcraft for almost 15 years as a hunter, after watching this month's livestream for Ashes of Creation, I couldn't be more excited about the direction of ranged combat. Although, the Ashes community isn't all smiles about this display of ranged combat, so let's talk about it. If you want to see more of a recap of the entire livestream, my boy Wolfhard FPS has got you covered. I always enjoyed watching his monthly update videos on Ashes of Creation, so go check out his Ashes content if you haven't already. So, let me get my opinions out there first as a tab target Andy. The movement to the ranger is great. Super mobile, and the flow of combat, even from just the basic range attacks, looks fun, engaging, and mobile, which is what you want from a ranger class. The range combat sounds were a little loud, but that can be tuned in the settings, I'm sure, but the sounds themselves were different from what I've heard in other MMOs and had substance. I loved them personally. Now, I want to talk about the ranger abilities themselves. The Snipe Ability. Okay, I have a lot to say about this, so strap in, folks. Again, I'm a tab target player, and I think that the Snipe ability should only be an action-based ability. The way I always pictured it in my head is that Ashes of Creation would have abilities that are both tabbed and action-based, some that are tab-only, and others that are action-only abilities. So when choosing your abilities from your desired class, you can choose 80% tab with 20% action abilities, or if you're more of an action-oriented player, 80% action abilities with 20% tab. As a tab player, I really wouldn't mind this because I thought that this was going to be the way it was anyway in Ashes of Creation. Imagine the Snipe ability acting very similar to New World's bow attack. You get a little zoom in, the ability is free aim with no soft lock or hard lock, and headshots can always be a critical hit. However, the Snipe ability isn't something you can always do all the time. I think a 45-second CD would be appropriate, maybe a little longer. Okay, quick shot. I really like this ability a lot, and this ability would be a perfect example of a tab/action hybrid ability. This ability would work differently depending on what you are using, action or tabbed. The tabbed ability would work the way we saw it in the live stream. You quickly shoot 3 arrows back to back to your enemy target, and I think the debuff to the monsters which allows hard-hitting quick shots afterwards is a nice touch. Now, quick shot would work a little different in action mode. If you are facing one target, you must aim each of the 3 shots on a certain body part that lights up for extra damage. If you get the first shot correctly, the next shot does more damage, and so on. If you are facing multiple enemies, you can choose which enemies you want to hit of the 3 shots and are not locked to only one target. This is, in my opinion, a fair balance of tabbed/action-based abilities. The final ability, which blew me away and everyone else away that saw it, Airstrike. This ability is a skill-based ability and doesn't really fall into the tabbed or action combat mode. You just need to make sure your enemies are in line to execute the attack properly, and it is perfect. Great job, Intrepid, on this ability and the debuff it provides. It looks like a ton of fun to play. Okay, now let's talk about the big drama regarding the action combat Intrepid showed us in September's livestream. People were not a fan of the soft lock mechanism when aiming at monsters. Many action Andies were looking at the free aim approach when it comes to the basic ranged attack. Okay, here is my opinion on this. It is very hard to give what would feel good when we don't know what we're going to use mainly. In most MMOs, your basic attack isn't something you use repeatedly without using your primary abilities first and foremost. Most people that I saw leave comments on the Ashes of Creation forums were New World players. New World has 6 abilities you can use from 2 different weapons. Listen to what Steven had to say about how many abilities we will be using in Ashes of Creation.
Obviously, different class kits will provide different gap closers. They'll provide different mobility skills. They'll have lockdowns. They'll have chains to pull back. They'll have a lot of different things in the rotation, right? That's part of what an MMORPG experience is. You're not just restricted to 3 or 6 skills. You have a rotational suite. And depending on the type of challenges you face is going to help determine which of those rotations you spec into from your skill tree. If you're having problems against rangers because they're constantly getting away, then it's probably a good idea for you to spec into abilities that lock the target down, that give you mobility, or that allow you to have zone control within the battlefield.
So, if you have an actual rotation of main abilities, how often are you going to use your basic range attack? You're probably going to have main offensive cooldowns, a suite of awesome abilities, and you also want to free aim your basic range attack? Personally, I want the skill to come from your primary class abilities and not from your basic range attack. That's why I want certain abilities to be locked to action only so you can pull some 5-head plays when you're out in the open world. I want to say this too. When Alpha 2 starts, give people a choice to pick free aim for action and the soft lock/hard lock option. That way people can see and feel the difference and see what people prefer better. I'm willing to keep an open mind about this even as a tab-oriented player. They did do the same thing back in Alpha 1 with root motion and split body. I still think keeping the way we saw it is totally fine if we're going to make certain primary class abilities locked to action and others to tab, and some maybe to both. People want to feel rewarded to aim their skill shots, and they should be. I just don't think that ranged basic attack should be the place of rewarding the player. The primary class skills should be where they are rewarded. I do want to talk about the short bow versus longbow real quick. I didn't really see too much of a vast difference between the switch, to be perfectly honest. The range basic attacks were a little quick for the longbow, and I wouldn't mind a more slowed and methodical approach when it comes to the longbow gameplay. The short bow did look very mobile, which is what you would expect. I think the weapon that needs a little bit more tuning is the longbow, but a great foundation to start from, Intrepid. Overall, this demonstration of basic ranged combat had me super excited for the future of Ashes of Creation. I also just want to say that thank God there is no ammunition in Ashes. Again, I played Vanilla WoW through Lich King where we had to deal with ammo, and if I could pick which I prefer the best, I'd say no ammo personally. The economy will be just fine without selling arrows to players. With only 3 more live streams before the year is out, what do you think we will see from Ashes of Creation going forward? Some node info or maybe a full naval showcase? Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below, and thank you so much for watching.